The council chamber stretched vast and empty, built for creatures much larger than humans. Taemin stood at the center, his small form dwarfed by the massive pillars that reached toward the dome ceiling. Above him, holographic displays showed star maps marked in red. Too much red. The Kavathi were spreading like a disease across the galaxy. Around him sat the representatives of 40 different species. Some had wings. Others had scales or fur or skin that glowed in the dark. The avian chancellor Voron sat highest, his golden feathers dulled with worry. His large eyes blinked slowly as he looked down at the human ambassador. 43 worlds, Voron said, his voice carrying through the chamber. 43 species conquered in 2 years. The Kavathi show no signs of stopping. They have better weapons, more ships. Their soldiers feel no fear. Flawed. Taemin nodded. He had read the reports. The Kavathi were insectoid, their bodies covered in black armor-like shells. They stood nearly 3 meters tall, with 4 arms and mandibles that could crush steel. They lived for war. They bred for it. Every Kavathi was born a soldier. "We have tried to fight them," said a delegate from the Pelthrin Union. Her blue skin rippled with distress. "Our fleets were destroyed in days. They do not take prisoners. They do not accept surrender. They simply consume everything." More voices joined in. Stories of destruction. Entire civilizations reduced to ash. The Kavathi did not want slaves or tribute. They wanted territory. And they took it by erasing whoever lived there first. "Earth must help us," Voron pleaded. "Humanity has the strongest military in the known galaxy. You have technology we do not understand. You have won every war you have fought." Taemin remained quiet. He knew what they wanted. They wanted Earth's fleets, Earth's soldiers, Earth's weapons. They wanted humanity to bleed for them. The chamber doors opened with a sound like thunder. A massive creature entered, its black carapace gleaming under the lights. War Prince Krek of the Kavathi Dominion walked forward on 4 powerful legs. His upper arms held ceremonial weapons. His lower arms gestured dismissively at the gathered delegates. "This is waste," Krek clicked, his translator rendering the sounds into words. "You beg the soft skins for help? The mammals, who cry over single deaths? Pathetic." Several delegates shifted nervously. Krek was here under diplomatic immunity, but everyone knew he could kill half the chamber before guards arrived. "Humans are weak," Krek continued. "We have studied them. They form attachments. They value individual lives over victory. They hesitate. They doubt. These are fatal flaws in war." Taemin finally spoke. His voice was calm, almost gentle. "You have not fought us. We do not need to." Krek's mandibles spread in what might have been a smile. "We know your kind. You talk of peace, of mercy, of honor. These are the words of prey animals trying to convince predators not to eat them." "Perhaps," Taemin said. He walked closer to the war prince, though he barely reached the creature's lower chest. "Tell me, Prince, do your people keep records of galactic history? We do not care about the past, only victory." "Then you do not know the stories." Taemin looked up at Voron. "Chancellor, how old are you?" The avian delegate shifted. 417 years, by Earth counting. "And you remember the Vrex War?" Voron's feathers flattened against his body. Other older delegates made sounds of distress. The name Vrex brought back memories they had tried to forget. "What is this Vrex?" Krek demanded. "They were the first," Voron said quietly. "The first to invade Earth. The first to call humanity weak. They were machines, or close to it. Logical. Efficient. They calculated that humans would surrender after losing 30% of our population. The math was certain. And, Krek asked, "Humans do not follow math," said an elderly delegate from the Theron Collective. His voice shook. "They fought at 40% losses. 50%. They fought when every calculation said they should be extinct. The Vrex could not understand it. Taemin walked back to the center of the chamber. The war lasted 3 years. Earth was burning. Our cities were rubble. The Vrex controlled our orbit. They had won, by every reasonable measure. But you survived, Krek said. Barely. With help from the other species. Munning. Unning. No one helped us, Taemin corrected. No one dared. The Vrex were too powerful. The galaxy watched and waited for us to die. He pulled up a holographic display. It showed an old military record. The text, in human English, with alien translation below. This is a personnel file, Taemin explained. From the Earth Defense Force. Special Operations Division. 1 soldier among billions. His name was Hyun Woo. The chamber went silent. Even Krek noticed the change in atmosphere. Just a name, the War Prince said. But his voice had lost some of its confidence. Just a name, Voron agreed. But the Vrex learned what that name meant. In the last year of the war, their commanders started dying. Not in battle. Not in bombing runs. They died in their sleep. In their command centers. In places that should have been impossible to reach. Assassination, Korek dismissed. Any species can hire killers. It was one man, said the Pelthrin delegate. She had been young during that war, but she remembered. One human. He moved through Vrex defenses like they were not there. He was patient. Stories say he once waited 20 days in a collapsed building, barely breathing, just to kill one target. Taemin nodded. The Vrex tried to stop him. They tripled their security. Used AI prediction systems. Set traps. Nothing worked. He was always 3 steps ahead. Always waiting. Always watching. One soldier cannot win a war, Krek insisted. No. Taemin agreed. But he changed it. The Vrex became afraid. Their perfect logic broke down when their leaders kept dying in ways that should not be possible. They started making mistakes. They became paranoid. And when they executed a human prisoner to try to break our morale, they made their final error. What happened? Krek asked. Despite himself, Taemin's expression did not change. But something cold entered his eyes. Hyun-woo went dark for 2 days. Then he infiltrated the Vrex command station. 10,000 enemy soldiers. He killed 247 specific targets. The ones who had been present at the execution. The rest he left alive to tell the story. 2. The chamber was absolutely quiet. The Vrex surrendered 1 month later, Voron said. The peace treaty had one condition they insisted on. That Hyun-woo be removed from service. Permanently. Where is this weapon now? Krek asked. Sleeping. Taemin said simply. In cryostasis. The Reaper Protocol. He has been asleep for 300 years. He wakes only for extinction events. Krek's mandibles clicked nervously. You threaten us with a ghost story. With a legend. I threaten nothing, Taemin said. I merely tell you what happens when someone makes humanity angry enough. You asked why we have not been attacked in 3 centuries. This is why. The galaxy remembers. Even if you do not. The War Prince turned to leave. The Kavathi fear nothing. Then you have learned nothing. Taemin called after him. But you will. Krek left the chamber. The delegates sat in silence. Finally, Voron spoke. Ambassador. Will you truly wake him? Taemin looked at the old file, at the picture of a young human soldier with quiet eyes. The council must vote. But if the vote is yes, then we wake the Reaper, and may whatever gods exist have mercy on the Kavathi, because he will not. Far away, on a military station hidden in the outer reaches of human space, lights began to glow on a cryopod that had been dark for centuries. Computer systems activated. Authorization codes were processed. A single line of text appeared on the display screen. Reaper protocol initiated. Inside the pod, ice began to melt. 500 years earlier, Earth had been different. The sky was blue and clear. Cities stretched across continents, full of people who had never seen an alien. Humanity thought it was alone in the universe. Then the Vreks came. Their ships appeared without warning, blocking out the sun over major cities. They sent one message: surrender your world. Resistance is inefficient. Earth's answer was simple: no. The war began that day. Lieutenant Hyunwoo crouched in the ruins of what used to be Seoul. The city was unrecognizable now. Buildings were broken teeth against a gray sky. The Vreks bombardment had turned streets into canyons of rubble. Somewhere above the clouds, their ships waited, patient as death. Target is 300 meters east, Da-eun whispered beside him. She lay flat on the concrete, her rifle scope tracking movement through the shattered windows of a collapsed hospital. 2 guards. Vreks combat units. Hyunwoo nodded. He did not need to speak. They had worked together for 2 years. Da-eun knew how he thought. The Vreks were not like humans. They were machines made of flesh, or flesh made into machines. It was hard to tell. They stood on 2 legs but moved with mechanical precision. Their eyes glowed blue, processing information faster than any human could think. They did not sleep, did not tire, did not fear. That was their mistake. Commander Jae-sung wants us back by dawn, Da-eun said. This is the 3rd high-value target this week. Command is getting nervous. Command is always nervous, Hyunwoo replied. His voice was soft, almost gentle. It did not match what he did for a living. He checked his rifle. Modified for silence. Every part carefully maintained. Hyunwoo treated his weapons like other men treated family. They never failed him. You ready? Da-eun asked. Always. They moved through the ruins like ghosts. The Vreks had sensors everywhere, but sensors could be fooled. Hyunwoo had learned their patterns. He knew where they looked and where they did not. He knew how they thought, even though they were not supposed to think at all. It took them an hour to cross 300 meters. Most soldiers would have rushed, taken the quick route. Hyunwoo was not most soldiers. He moved when the wind blew, stopped when it was still, became part of the rubble around him. Da-eun once told him he was not human anymore. He never argued with her. The target was a Vreks overseer, one of their tactical commanders. It was coordinating the siege of the Eastern District, where human resistance still held out. Kill the overseer, and the Vreks attack would fall apart for a few days, long enough to evacuate civilians. Hyunwoo settled into position inside a collapsed apartment. The floor was tilted at an angle. Water dripped somewhere in the darkness. He could see the overseer through a gap in the wall, 60 meters away. Wind is 3 meters per second, east to west, Da-eun whispered. Temperature dropping, humidity rising. Hyunwoo made the calculations automatically, adjusted for distance, for wind, for the way Vreks armor absorbed impact. He waited. 1 hour passed, 2. Da-eun shifted slightly, easing cramped muscles. Hyunwoo did not move at all. He had learned to slow his breathing, his heartbeat, become almost still as the dead. This was what made him dangerous. Not his aim, though that was perfect. Not his tactics, though those were brilliant. It was his patience. He could wait forever if he needed to. The overseer moved. Just slightly. Turned its head to examine a display. Hyunwoo fired. The shot was silent. The Vreks jerked once and fell. Its guards looked around, confused. They saw nothing. Hyunwoo was already moving, slipping deeper into the ruins. Clean hit. Da-eun confirmed. Let's go. Clean hit. They made it back to base as the sun rose. Commander Jae-sung was waiting in the command center, a bunker 30 meters underground. He looked older than his 50 years. The war had aged everyone. Another one? He asked. Overseer eliminated, Hyunwoo reported. Eastern District should hold for another week. Jae-sung nodded. He looked at Hyun-woo with an expression that might have been pride or might have been worry. You know what they are calling you? The Vrex, I mean. No. The ghost. They think you are not real. Some kind of human psychological trick. Tell. 17. Da-eun laughed. Good. Let them think that. But Jae-sung was not smiling. Hyun-woo. This cannot last forever. We are losing this war. Every day, more cities fall. More people die. Eventually, they will find a way to stop you. Maybe, Hyun-woo said. But not today. He left to clean his rifle. Da-eun followed him to the armory, a small room that smelled of oil and metal. He is right. You know, she said, we are losing. Earth has lost 30% of its population. The math says we should surrender. Math does not account for human stubbornness, Hyun-woo replied, running a cloth down the barrel of his rifle. Is that what we are? Stubborn? We are alive. That is enough. Da-eun watched him work. After a moment, she asked the question she had been holding back. Do you feel anything when you kill them? Hyun-woo paused, his hands stilled on the weapon. Should I? Most people would. I am not most people. No. Da-eun agreed quietly. You are not. 3 weeks later, everything changed. The mission was supposed to be simple. Reconnaissance of a Vrex supply depot. Da-eun and Hyun-woo went in light, just gathering information. But the Vrex were waiting. Hyun-woo heard the ambush before he saw it. The slight change in air pressure. The faint hum of Vrex weapons powering up. He grabbed Da-eun and pulled her down as energy bolts tore through the air where she had been standing. Run! He shouted. They ran through the depot, Vrex soldiers pursuing. Hyun-woo fired as he moved, each shot buying seconds. Da-eun was fast, but the Vrex were faster. They were herding them into a trap. Hyun-woo saw it too late. A force field snapped into place, cutting him off from Da-eun. He threw himself against it, but the energy barrier held. Go! Da-eun screamed. Get out of here. Vrex soldiers surrounded her. Hyun-woo fired until his rifle clicked empty. Then, he drew his sidearm and kept firing. The force field sparked with each impact, but did not break. Da-eun looked at him through the barrier. She was calm. She had always been calm. It is okay, she said. You tried. I will come for you, Hyun-woo promised. I know. The Vrex took her away. Hyun-woo stood there until Jae-sung's rescue team found him hours later. He had not moved from that spot. Back at base, Jae-sung tried to explain. We cannot mount a rescue. We do not have the resources. I am sorry. Hyun-woo said nothing. We will try to negotiate. They do not negotiate. Hyun-woo interrupted. His voice was still soft, still gentle. But something had changed in his eyes. 2 days later, every human on Earth received the same broadcast. The Vrex had placed it on every screen, every radio, every communication device. It showed Da-eun in a white room. A Vrex overseer stood behind her. This is the price of resistance, the overseer said. Watch and learn efficiency. They executed her cleanly, professionally. The broadcast ended. In the command bunker, Hyun-woo watched the screen go dark. His expression never changed. But Jae-sung, who had known him for years, saw something new in those quiet eyes. Hyun-woo, Jae-sung said carefully. What are you going to do? Hyun-woo stood up. He walked to the armory. When he emerged 20 minutes later, he was carrying enough weapons for a small war. Do not try to stop me, he said. I would not dare, Jae-sung replied. But Hyun-woo? Hyun-woo paused at the door. They already do. They just do not know it yet. He disappeared into the ruins. Command lost contact with him immediately. For 48 hours, nobody knew where he was or what he was doing. The Vrex learned soon enough. Their commanders started dying. Not in battle, not in bombing runs. They died in their secure bunkers, in their command centers, in places that should have been impossible for any human to reach. And in each location, Hyun-woo left the same message, written in both human and Vrex languages. She was a person. They all are. Remember that. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when humans stopped being patient. Captain Minseo stared at the intelligence reports scattered across her desk. Each one told the same impossible story. Vrex commanders were dying, and nobody could explain how. This one was in a bunker 300 meters underground, she said, pointing to a report. 50 guards. Sealed doors. Motion sensors everywhere. They found him dead at his station. No signs of forced entry. No traces of human presence. Commander Jae-sung nodded slowly. He knew what was happening, even if he could not explain it. Hyun-woo. One man cannot do this, Minseo insisted. It is not possible. You have read his file. You know what he is capable of. Reading about it and seeing it are different things. Minseo pulled up security footage from the latest incident. The screen showed a Vrex command center. Guards patrolling in perfect patterns. Then, for just 3 seconds, there was static. When the image cleared, one guard was unconscious. He moves through their defenses like water through cracks. How? Patience, Jae-sung said. Hyun-woo can wait longer than anyone I have ever met. Days if he needs to. He studies patterns until he finds the gaps. Then, he exploits them. But why? Da-eun is dead. This will not bring her back. No, Jae-sung agreed. But it will remind the Vrex that we are not numbers. We are people. And when you kill one of us, there are consequences. Minseo looked at the map on her wall. Red markers showed where Vrex officers had died. 27, in 2 days. All of them had been present at Da-eun's execution. He is hunting specific targets. He is sending a message. Young Jae entered the room, a fresh recruit barely 20 years old. He had been assigned to Minseo's intelligence unit last week. Commander? We have another report. Vrex Supply Station 7. 3 officers down. No survivors to question. But what? Minseo asked. Young Jae pulled up images on the main screen. The station was intact. Guards were alive but unconscious. The 3 officers were laid out side by side, their weapons placed carefully beside them. It looked almost respectful. He left a note, Young Jae said quietly. The message appeared on screen. She died alone. You will not. Tell the others. Minseo felt a chill run down her spine. He is escalating. No, Jae-sung corrected. He is being merciful. If he wanted to, he could kill everyone in these installations. He is choosing not to. That is the truly frightening part. Across the planet, in the ruins of what used to be Tokyo, Hyun-woo moved through the darkness. He had been awake for 40 hours. His body should have been exhausted. His mind should have been slow. But he felt nothing except a cold, clear purpose. The Vrex command station rose before him. A massive structure of metal and force fields. 10,000 soldiers inside. His target was at the center, in the most secure room they had. Overseer the Kren. The one who had ordered Da-eun's execution. Hyun-woo had been watching the station for 3 days. He knew every guard rotation, every patrol pattern, every camera angle. The Vrex were logical, efficient. That made them predictable. He moved during a shift change. When guards were distracted, slipped past sensors by timing his movements to their sweep patterns, used blind spots in their surveillance. The Vrex thought like machines. Hyun-woo thought like a human who had learned to think like a machine when it suited him. Inside the station, he became a shadow. Guards walked past him without seeing. He waited in ventilation shafts, in storage closets, in places they never thought to check. Hours passed. Hyun-woo did not rush. Rushing led to mistakes. A young Vrex soldier nearly discovered him. Hyun-woo could have killed it. Instead, he waited until it turned away. Violence was necessary sometimes, but it was not his first choice. Not anymore. Da-eun had taught him that. The thought of her made his chest tight, but he pushed the feeling away. Emotions could wait. Right now, he needed to be empty. Precise. Perfect. It took him 18 hours to reach the command center. 18 hours of moving in small increments, waiting for opportunities, staying invisible. A less patient man would have failed in the first hour. Outside the Kren's chamber, 50 elite guards stood watch. These were not regular soldiers. They were the Vrex equivalent of special forces. Enhanced, faster, smarter. Hyun-woo studied them for 2 hours, found their pattern. It was subtle, but it was there. A 3-second gap when one guard turned, and another had not yet completed its scan. 3 seconds every 8 minutes. He waited for the gap. Moved through it. The door was locked with encryption that would take most hackers hours to break. Hyun-woo did not try to break it. Instead, he went through the ventilation system above. The shaft was barely wide enough for a human. He moved through it like a snake, silent and fluid. Inside the chamber, the Kren sat at a command console. The overseer was reviewing tactical displays, planning the next assault on human positions. It did not know it had minutes left to live. Hyun-woo dropped from the ceiling. Landed without sound. The Kren started to turn. It never completed the movement. Afterward, Hyun-woo carried the body out the same way he had come in. Through the vents. Through the blind spots. Past the guards, who never saw him. When they finally discovered their commander was missing, he was already 3 kilometers away. He left the Kren in an abandoned building, left the same message he always did. Then he disappeared back into the ruins. The Vrex went into panic mode. How had their most secure facility been breached? How had their most protected officer been taken? The logical answers did not fit the evidence. That was when they began to understand. Humans did not follow logic. They followed something else. Something the Vrex could not calculate or predict. 3 days later, Young Jae brought new intelligence to Commander Jae-sung. Sir, the Vrex are changing tactics. They are pulling back from aggressive positions, consolidating their forces. They are afraid, Min Seo said, reading the reports. For the first time since they arrived, they are actually afraid. Jae-sung nodded. One man has done what our entire military could not. He has made them doubt their certainty. Where is he now? Young Jae asked. Nobody knows. He went completely dark after the Kren incident, but Hyun-woo was closer than they thought. He had returned to the base, slipping past security as easily as he slipped past Vrex sensors. He sat in the armory, cleaning weapons that did not need cleaning. Subin found him there. She was a civilian doctor, one of the few who still treated wounded soldiers without asking questions. She had patched up Hyun-woo more times than either could count. You need to sleep, she said. I will sleep when this is over. The Vrex are requesting peace talks. You won. You can stop now. Hyun-woo looked up at her. His eyes were still calm, still quiet, but they held something cold and final. They killed her. Subin. They broadcast it like entertainment. Like we are not real to them. So you made yourself into their nightmare. I made myself into their lesson. We are not numbers in their calculations. We are people. And people remember. People avenge. Subin sat down beside him. What did it cost you? Becoming this? Everything that mattered. Hyun-woo set down the rifle. But it was worth it. They will remember Da-eun now. They will remember that every human they kill has friends, has family, has someone who will come for them in the dark. The peace talks began a week later. The Vrex, who had never negotiated before, came to the table. They had learned that humans would fight past the point of logic, past the point of reason, past the point where any sane species would surrender. The treaty was signed in a neutral station. Earth's delegates sat across from Vrek's representatives. The terms were simple. The Vreks would leave. They would pay reparations. They would never return to human space. But they had one demand. The human-designated Hyun Woo must be removed from active service, the lead Vrek's negotiator stated, permanently. Ambassador Taemin, young then, raised an eyebrow. He is too dangerous. His existence makes peace impossible. Our people will not accept any treaty that leaves him free to operate. Earth's military command debated for 3 days. Finally, they agreed. Not because the Vreks demanded it, but because they saw what the war had done to Hyun Woo. He was not the man he had been. Maybe he could never be again. They called it the Reaper Protocol. Hyun Woo would be placed in cryosleep. He would wake only if humanity faced another extinction-level threat. It was a mercy. In its way, a chance for him to rest. Before he went under, Subin asked if he had any regrets. Hyun Woo thought for a long moment. Only one. That I could not save her. Governor, would you do it again? All of it? Yes. Someone had to show them. We are not prey. That we fight back. The cryopod sealed. The lights dimmed. Hyun Woo's last thought was of Da-un, smiling at him across a campfire before the war. When the world was still whole, 300 years passed in an instant. Hyun Woo opened his eyes to a world he did not recognize. The cryopod hissed as it unsealed. Cold air rushed out, replaced by warmth. His body felt strange, muscles stiff from centuries of sleep. Medical displays showed his vitals stabilizing. Everything was automated now, efficient. A woman in a military uniform stood waiting. She was young, maybe 30, with sharp eyes that studied him like he was a weapon being inspected. Lieutenant Hyun Woo, she said formally. I am Admiral G1. Hyun Woo sat up slowly. His last memory was of Subin's face, of the cryopod closing. How long? 317 years. I know this is difficult, but we need to brief you immediately. The situation is critical. The world had changed in ways Hyun Woo could barely comprehend. Earth was no longer a single planet struggling to survive. Humanity had spread across dozens of star systems. They were a major power in the Galactic Council. The ruins he remembered were rebuilt into gleaming cities. But the war was familiar. Different enemy. Same story. Admiral G1 showed him tactical displays in a briefing room that looked nothing like the bunkers he remembered. Everything was holographic, responsive to touch and thought. The Kavathi were marked in red across the map. So much red. They have conquered 43 species in 2 years, G1 explained. Their military is larger than ours. Their technology is equivalent. They do not negotiate, do not take prisoners. Sound familiar? The Vreks, Hyun Woo said quietly. Similar. But the Kavathi are biological, not mechanical. They are insectoid warriors, bred for combat. Every one of them is stronger and faster than any human. They feel no fear. Kavathi, with no. Kavathi, Kavathi, Hyun Woo looked at the display. The patterns were different, but the problem was the same. A ruthless enemy who thought humans were weak. Why did you wake me? The council voted. They remember the stories. They think you can stop the Kavathi, like you stopped the Vreks. I did not stop the Vreks alone. Millions of soldiers fought that war, but you broke them psychologically. That is what we need now. A door opened. A man in civilian clothes entered. He was older than G1, with tired eyes behind glasses. Admiral, I need to evaluate the subject before any mission planning. This is Dr. Kyung-min, G1 said. He is our leading military psychologist. He needs to assess your mental state. The evaluation took 2 days. Kyung-min asked hundreds of questions. About the war. About Daun. About the things Hyun-woo had done. He ran tests, scanned his brain, measured responses. Finally, the doctor sat back and removed his glasses. You show no signs of trauma. No PTSD markers. No depression indicators. Is that a problem? Hyun-woo asked. It is concerning. Most soldiers who have seen what you have seen would be damaged. But you process killing as necessary work. Not good or bad. Just necessary. It was necessary. That is what concerns me. You have no moral conflict about it. No doubt. Hyun-woo thought about this. Would doubt have saved Daun? Would it have saved Earth? 12. Kyung-min had no answer to that. While Hyun-woo adapted to the new world, Ambassador Tae-min came to visit. He was much older now, but Hyun-woo recognized him. They had met once before the cryo-sleep. The young diplomat, Hyun-woo said, "You have done well. Thank you. I wanted to speak with you before the mission briefing, to make sure you understand what has changed. Ji-won gave me history files. I have been reading. History does not capture everything. The galaxy is different now. We have allies. We have trade agreements. We have laws about warfare." Laws, Hyun-woo repeated. Do the Kavathi follow these laws? No. But we do. That is what makes us better than them. Hyun-woo nodded slowly. What exactly do you want from me, Ambassador? Tae-min chose his words carefully. The Council hopes you can end this war quickly, with minimal casualties. They remember the stories of the ghost who defeated the Vreks. They want that precision. They want me to kill Kavathi leaders. They want you to do what you do best. Make the enemy afraid. The mission briefing came 3 days later. Admiral Ji-won presented her plan. Hyun-woo would be inserted into Kavathi territory with a special operations team. They would hit military targets, disrupt supply lines, create chaos. Hyun-woo listened patiently. Then he shook his head. That will not work, he said. Ji-won bristled. Excuse me? You are thinking like a modern military. Drones, AI systems, overwhelming force. The Kavathi expect that. They are prepared for it. Then what do you suggest? Hyun-woo pulled up the intelligence files on the Kavathi homeworld. Their capital city. Their royal palace. Give me a stealth ship. Nothing more. I will end this war in 2 weeks. The room went silent. Ji-won stared at him. That is insane. You cannot infiltrate their homeworld alone. Their defenses are similar to the Vreks command station. I have read the reports. Sensors, force fields, patrol patterns. They all have weaknesses. We do not assassinate civilian leadership. Ji-won said firmly. We are not barbarians. I am not going to kill anyone. Then what? I am going to make them afraid. Real fear. The kind that breaks armies before they fight. Kyung-min leaned forward. You are talking about psychological warfare. I am talking about teaching them what the Vreks learned. That humans are not easy prey. That we adapt. That we remember. Ji-won shook her head. Absolutely not. This is a military operation, not a one-man terror campaign. We have protocols. Chains of command. You will follow orders or you will go back into cryo-sleep. Hyun-woo stood. Then put me back to sleep. I did not ask to wake up. Parted 44. Quote, he left the briefing room. Tae-min followed him into the corridor. You cannot do this alone, the ambassador said. I have always worked alone. It is simpler. The galaxy has changed. There are rules now. Ethics. You cannot just. The Kavathi do not care about ethics. They care about strength. I will show them what real strength looks like. Tae-min studied him for a long moment. You are going to steal a ship and go anyway. Are you not? Yes. When? Tonight. The ambassador should have reported this. Should have called security. Instead, he asked, do you need help? Hyunwoo almost smiled. Almost. Just do not tell them until I am gone. Give me 12 hours head start. That night, Hyunwoo moved through the military station like he had moved through Vrek's installations centuries ago. Security was tighter now, but the principles were the same. Guards had patterns. Sensors had blind spots. Locks could be bypassed. He found the stealth ship in Hangar Bay 7. It was small, designed for reconnaissance. Perfect for what he needed. Getting it started was harder than expected. Technology had advanced, but the basic principles were the same. He had always been good at learning systems quickly. The ship launched silently. Stealth drives engaged. By the time alarms sounded in the command center, he was already 3 light-years away. Admiral G1 stood in the command center, watching the empty hangar bay on the monitors. Kyungmin stood beside her. Should we send ships after him? An officer asked. No. G1 said quietly. We cannot catch him. And if we could... She paused. I am not sure I want to. You are letting him go? I am giving him 12 hours before I report this to the council. After that, it is out of my hands. End quote. Kyungmin looked at her. You think he can actually do it? End the war? I think he is the most dangerous man I have ever met. And I think the Kavathi have no idea what is coming for them. In his stolen ship, Hyunwoo studied the navigation data. The Kavathi homeworld was 3 weeks away at maximum speed. He had time to plan, time to prepare. He thought about Da-un, about how the Vreks had underestimated humanity, about how the Kavathi were making the same mistake. Some lessons, it seemed, had to be taught more than once. The ship's computer asked for destination confirmation. Hyunwoo entered the coordinates. The stars stretched as he jumped to faster-than-light speed. Behind him, Earth's military scrambled to respond. Ahead of him, the Kavathi Empire continued its conquests. Unaware that a ghost from humanity's past was coming to remind them why nobody attacked Earth anymore. The Reaper was awake. And he was hunting. The Kavathi throne world gleamed below, a planet covered in hive cities that stretched toward the sky. Hyunwoo watched from orbit. The stealth ship's sensors mapping everything. Guard stations, defense grids, patrol routes. The Kavathi were efficient, he would give them that. But efficiency created patterns, and patterns could be exploited. He had been in orbit for 3 days, just watching, learning. Most soldiers would have rushed in with a plan already made. Hyunwoo knew better. Every target was different. Every defense had its own rhythm. On the 4th day, he descended. The ship landed in a deserted area outside the capital city. Hyunwoo moved through the alien landscape, wearing adaptive camouflage. The Kavathi had excellent vision. But they saw in different spectrums than humans. He had studied their biology, knew their blind spots. The royal palace rose in the distance, a massive structure of organic architecture and metal. 10,000 guards protected it. The Empress herself lived in the central tower, surrounded by her war council. Hyunwoo did not go there first. Instead, he went to the military command center on the opposite side of the city. Waited until the shift change at dawn. Slipped inside with a group of Kavathi workers who never noticed the shadow moving among them. Inside, he found what he was looking for: the central tactical display. Every Kavathi general in the Empire reported here. Their names, their locations, their security details. Hyunwoo memorized everything. Then he left the same way he came, invisible, silent. That night, he infiltrated the residential tower where the high generals lived. The building was supposed to be impenetrable. Force fields at every entrance. Automated defenses on every floor. Guards trained from birth to kill. Hyunwoo went through the waste disposal system. It was disgusting, but it worked. The Kavathi, for all their military brilliance, had not considered that someone would willingly crawl through their sewage to reach them. He emerged in a maintenance corridor. Cleaned himself with supplies from his pack. Checked his equipment. Everything was still functional. The first general's quarters were on floor 30. Hyun-woo took the emergency stairs, moving only when sensor sweeps passed. It took him 4 hours to climb 30 floors. A less patient man would have been caught in the first hour. Inside the general's room, he did not attack, did not kill. Instead, he left something on the sleeping Kavathi's bedside table, a single white flower. From Earth. He repeated this process 7 more times that night. 7 generals. 7 flowers, each one placed carefully beside sleeping commanders who never knew he was there. By morning, the Kavathi military was in chaos. Impossible, War Prince Krek shouted in the emergency council meeting. His mandibles clicked in agitation. Our security is perfect. No one can penetrate our defenses. Empress Shvara sat on her throne, larger than the other Kavathi, her carapace gleaming black and gold. Yet someone did. 8 generals report identical intrusions. Explain this. The head of palace security had no explanation. The footage showed nothing. Sensors detected nothing. Yet the flowers were there. Undeniably real. It is the human, Krek said. The one from the old stories. The ghost. It's. You said humans were weak, Shvara reminded him coldly. They are. This is some trick. Some technology we do not understand. But Hyun-woo was already executing the next phase of his plan. He infiltrated the planetary defense grid, not to sabotage it, but to access its broadcast system. Every screen on the planet received the same message. You believe you are apex predators. You have never met one. Then he did something that terrified the Kavathi more than any attack could have. He listed every location he had visited in the past week. The military command center, the residential tower, the general's quarters, and he added one more location, the imperial nursery, where Kavathi young were raised. He had been there too. Could have done anything, chose not to. Panic spread through the Kavathi leadership. If one human could reach their most protected spaces, what could humanity's full military do? Every assumption they had made about the war was suddenly in question. Krek, desperate to restore his honor and his species' reputation, made a public challenge. He would face the human in single combat. Broadcast across the galaxy. Prove that Kavathi were superior. Hyun-woo accepted. The arena was ancient. Used for ceremonial battles. Thousands of Kavathi gathered to watch. Billions more watched on broadcasts throughout the Empire and beyond. The Galactic Council watched. Earth watched. Everyone wanted to see if the legend was real. Admiral Ji-won watched from Earth's command center. Beside her, Kyung-min shook his head. He is going to fight a Kavathi war prince in single combat? They are 3 times his size. 4 times his strength. I know, Ji-won said quietly. But watch anyway. In the arena, Krek stood waiting. His carapace gleamed. His forearms held ceremonial blades that could cut through steel. He was a perfect specimen of Kavathi warrior breeding. Hyun-woo entered from the opposite side. He looked small by comparison. Human. Fragile. The fight began. Krek charged, fast as lightning. His blades flashed in the artificial sun. Hyun-woo moved. Not away. Sideways. Into the attack instead of away from it. He was inside Krek's reach before the war prince could adjust. One strike to a joint in the carapace. Another to a sensory cluster. 3 precise hits in less than a second. Krek stumbled. Confusion in his compound eyes. How had the human moved so fast? The war prince recovered, attacked again. More carefully this time. But Hyun-woo was already reading his patterns. Every species had tells. The Kavathi telegraphed their attacks with subtle shifts in weight distribution. 7 seconds into the fight, Hyun-woo disarmed him. Literally. One of Krek's ceremonial blades clattered across the arena floor. 10 seconds in, Krek was on his knees. 11 seconds in, Hyun-woo had a weapon pressed against the war prince's throat. The arena was silent. Hyun-woo could have killed him. Should have, by Kavathi tradition. You are not worth the bullet, he said quietly. Then he walked away. The humiliation was complete. Krek had not just lost. He had been dismissed. Treated like he was beneath notice. For a warrior species, it was worse than death. The broadcast ended. Across the Kavathi Empire, morale shattered. If their greatest warrior could be defeated so easily, what chance did they have against humanity? Empress Shvara called an emergency council session. The debate lasted less than an hour. The vote was unanimous. The Kavathi Empire sued for peace. Back on Earth, Admiral G1 stood in the command center as the news came through. Officers around her cheered. The war was over. Humanity had won without firing a shot. Where is he? G1 asked. The stealth ship is returning, an officer reported. ETA. 3 days. When Hyun-woo's ship docked, G1 was waiting personally. She had prepared a speech about following orders, about military discipline. But when he stepped out of the ship, she just shook her head. How did you know it would work? She asked. Bullies rely on fear, Hyun-woo explained simply. They need to believe they are stronger. I showed them what real fear feels like. Showed them they were vulnerable. After that, they had already lost. Well, Kyung-min approached cautiously. The council wants to thank you. There will be ceremonies. Medals. I do not want medals. What do you want? Hyun-woo looked tired suddenly. Older than his years, even accounting for the centuries in cryo-sleep. To go back to sleep. To not be needed anymore. Will you? Ji-won asked. Go back to cryo-sleep? Yes. This is not my world anymore. Everyone I knew is gone. The war I understood is over. I am just a relic now. A weapon kept in storage. Taemin arrived at the docking bay. He walked up to Hyun-woo and bowed deeply. On behalf of the Galactic Council and all of humanity, thank you. I did not do it for thanks. I did it because it was necessary. I know. That is what makes you who you are. The ceremonies were brief. Hyun-woo did not enjoy attention. He stood through the speeches, accepted the commendations, and said nothing. His mind was already drifting back to sleep, to dreams where Da-eun might still be alive. Before he returned to cryosleep, Taemin asked him one final question. Do you have any regrets about what you did? To the Kavathi? Hyun-woo thought about this carefully. I showed them mercy. Could have killed thousands. Chose not to. That is more than the Vreks showed us. More than the Kavathi showed their victims. But you broke them psychologically. Better broken than dead. They will recover. They will remember. And maybe next time they think about conquering someone, they will remember the human who walked through their defenses like they were not there. The cryopod sealed around him. Medical systems activated. The cold began to spread through his body. Taemin watched through the observation window. Sleep well, Reaper. May you never be needed again. But even as he said it, he knew it was not true. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers. Someday, humanity might face another threat, another species that thought humans were weak. When that day came, they would wake the Reaper, and one name would echo across the stars. A reminder and a warning. Years later, Taemin updated the official galactic records. In the entry for Earth, he wrote, Humanity is kind, they are compassionate, they are patient, they seek peace whenever possible. But if you mistake their kindness for weakness, they will send the Reaper, and one name will be the last thing you hear, Hyun-woo. Across the galaxy, alien species told stories to their young, not of monsters or demons, of the human who taught the universe that mercy was a choice, not a weakness, that patience was not the same as passivity, that the gentlest species could be the most dangerous when pushed too far. The Kavathi became cautious neighbors. They remembered the human who had reached their empress while she slept, who had stood in their nurseries and chosen not to harm. who had defeated their greatest warrior in 11 seconds and walked away. In the depths of the military station, Hyunwoo slept, dreaming of a world that no longer existed, of friends long dead, of a woman who had believed he was still human, even when he was not sure himself. The cryopod's display showed one line of text: "The Reaper. Wake only for extinction events." And so he slept, while the galaxy moved on, a weapon kept in reserve, a reminder, a promise, that humanity would always protect its own, that they would never forget, that they would always come for those who hurt them. The Reaper slept, but the galaxy remembered, and that was enough.